Good day and welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. I want to thank you for joining me today. Yesterday, we worked together at identifying our expectations. We were applying this idea of expectations or identifying requirements in our most important relationships. And so we've made a bridge to looking at relationships. I had you, for our exercise, I had you generate a list of qualities that you would most want to exhibit in your closest relationship. And then I had you create a list of qualities that are the opposite to each of those previous qualities. And so now I'm asking you to identify those qualities that are the least desired for you. And once I had you identify those behaviors you most desire versus those you least desire, I had you draw a line between them because I wanted you to see the linkage between them. They're kind of like opposite sides of the same coin and they reflect each other. I'm curious what you discovered just in doing that exercise. What we want to do next is to examine the role of these expectations in our relationships. And so we'll be looking at these expectations, or what we've been calling here inner requirements. How it is that these requirements activate the survival center of our brain. We've been calling that the red alert brain. As I begin to move more and more into absolute requirements, if it doesn't go this way, then what? That when we get into that kind of impasse, our red alert brain gets activated, and it moves us from being able to see others through the eyes of love. One of my favorite philosophers is the German Israeli philosopher Martin Buber, B-U-B-E-R. He was a Jewish philosopher and theologian who wrote about how it is that when we see others through the eye of love, we have what he called an I-thou relationship to them. Thou in the sense of we see them and treat them with sacredness. And what happens in red alert brain as a function of getting caught in these requirements is we move out of what Martin Buber would call an I-thou relationship into seeing others rather than as someone we love. We move towards seeing them as objects which only either satisfy or frustrate us. And Martin Buber had a perfect term for this. He called it moving from an I-thou relationship, where I see you as thou. He called it moving from that to an I-it relationship, where basically the other person becomes an it, or an object to us. So what we're looking at is how requirements activate this red alert brain. And then in this red alert brain, we objectify those we love, and they can feel it. It has negative consequences, to say the least, on our connection to those that we love most. So for today, what I want to do is suggest an exercise. I'd like to recommend that we return to yesterday's mind-body map. If you engaged in the exercise yesterday, you'll have that handy. If you didn't, may I recommend that you go back to yesterday's post, read the instructions, and do that map first. What we did is we took a blank sheet of paper, and the title of yesterday's mind-body map was this: How I Should Be in My Most Important Relationship. That was the map. And if you did it, let me just stoke your memory here. Recall that I had you check inside for feelings that are evoked by the first list I had you make inside the circle. And that list was of desired qualities that you would like to bring to the relationship. I asked you to check inside, how does it feel to review those? And then outside that circle, I had you review what I had you write there. And these were undesired qualities, the flip side or the opposite of that first list. And I had you apply this to the relationship that you chose. I asked you to pick the most significant relationship in your life. Now what I want you to do today is to go back and list the items on the outside of the circle. Those are the undesired items, undesired qualities. And I want you to find those that when you review them, you felt tense or uncomfortable even in reviewing them. it left you feeling at odds with yourself. And what I want you to do is make a list of those items. And at the top of that list, I want you to write this single word: triggers. It'll be a very important word as we move forward. So what I want you to do after that is select the opposite quality to those triggers, these negative or undesired qualities. Select the opposite quality, which would be inside the circle. Remember, had you draw a line between those two qualities or behaviors. And I want you to go inside the circle, find the opposite of these triggers, and answer the following quality to the following question for each one of these items. So you're looking at the trigger, you're looking at its opposite, which would be a desired quality that you'd want to exhibit in a relationship. And I want you to ask yourself this: how do I respond, both in terms of my emotions and my actions, when I am triggered by not exhibiting these more desirable qualities? And so whatever the desired quality is, what's it like when you can't go there, can't behave like you'd like to, can't engage in the kind of attitude or action you'd like? And what's the impact of that in terms of your behavior? And final thing, at the end of that second list of those items inside the circle that are linked to the qualities that you've already labeled as triggers, that second list, I'd like you to put a label across the top of that. And this will be a single word that you're well familiar with now if you've been with us for a while. I want you to write the word requirements. What we're going to do is come back tomorrow, and I'm going to detail the relationship of triggers and requirements from this list. It'll be really helpful if you do this exercise to kind of get it inside your being. So let me recommend that you do that. I wish you well with the exercise. I want to thank you again for joining me today. Please stay safe, be well, and come back and join me tomorrow.